Everyone, my name is Jess and today we're going to talk about startup versus established company within Canada. Now, I've worked at both and I have some pros and cons when working at a startup or an established company. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those that don't know me, my name is Jess and I am a sales manager in Canada at an established firm. Now today's video, I will be talking about my experience at startups, some of the pros and cons, and some of the pros and cons of an established company. Now before I get started, if you would hit that subscribe button below, it would help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers and we are almost there. So thank you so much for subscribing. All right. Startup versus established company. I do want to start with established company and I'm going to do a versus and compare them as we go through the video. So established company, if you are a person that likes process and you are process driven, absolutely do not go into a startup. Established companies will have processes for everything, especially in sales. They will have call scripts, they will have sales cycles, typical personas of customers. They will have everything most likely documented to make your job a little easier. And they will have a process on how to find leads. They will have a tool already built in for your customer database, like a CRM that's already been selected. You will have everything that you need and probably even more when going to an established company. Now, if you're going to a startup, most likely those processes have not been built, they have not been tried. You are the pioneer and you are building out those processes. So one way you are following a process and one way you are creating a process. So it really depends. Are you more the creative type and want to be that pioneer, or you want to go with the flow? Someone's already created a process and you just want to jump in. So that would be one of the biggest things that I realized of going to a startup a few years ago, is I was so used to an established company. I walked into this type of role and there was no process written down. And I'm like, how is that even possible? But most new companies, they don't have time to write down all these processes. It's almost your job to do that. So second would be if you are very conscious of brand, and in sales, it's a lot easier to work for an established company that has already had an established brand and customers know the brand than if you go to a startup where they've never heard of your name before, they don't know what you sell, they might have never used your product or been in contact with someone that has used your product. So again, really hard sales is at startup because you are establishing that brand, you are establishing new customers that don't know who you are, versus established. When I'm calling from Dell Canada, most of the customers know who Dell is. They've been around for so long. They do have a very trusted brand, and it is a little bit easier, I would say, selling with an established brand versus a startup. Now, the third one would be better pay. Now, this is a little bit, I guess there's a red line here. Sometimes you can have better pay at startups, but typically established companies will have lots of financials. So if they want to hire someone that requires a little bit more of a salary, they have more options to do so, where a startup might not have all the financials or the investors to pay a certain salary you are looking for. So I would say there are better pay at established company for long term, but that one is a toss-up. All right, the next one is advancement. Advancement at a startup can happen rapidly because you are new and you are able to create new positions. Startups can be, you can get the promotions a lot faster. Established companies, you can have a lot of advancement depending on where you want to go in the organization. There's lots of departments, lots of different roles being created, but it can take a little bit more time to advance because of that slow mentality of an established company. Again, all to do with the process. Now, let's talk about the positives of working for a startup. When I jumped into a startup a couple of years ago, I saw challenges like crazy. I got in the role. I probably learned the most in the 6 months that I learned in my whole career. You are thrown into a startup. You have to create the process. You have to find new creative ways to contact customers, and nobody is going to hold your hand because nobody has time. So you're wearing multiple hats. You are typically not just doing one role. So if you're marketing, you might be doing some selling, you might be doing some content creation, you might figure out what the price is for that specific product. You are not just doing one type of marketing or one type of sales. You are typically alone. And I know I said typically a lot, but you know, whatever. So, experience. You will learn way more in a short amount of time at a startup. Now, second, room to grow. Because you do, and again, this goes with experience, because you do go into that one role, typically at a large organization, when you're selling, you will have multiple people around you during the selling cycle, where at a startup, it might only be you. So you have so much opportunity to grow, try new things, not just follow the process, but try new things, and you will, again, rapidly grow in this environment. Now, another thing that I really enjoyed about a startup in Canada is you might feel more valued than at an established company. Established companies can be lost with your innovative and creative ideas, where if you bring a creative idea to a startup, they will be extremely happy with your idea. You might feel valued. Everyone will know that you brought this idea because it's such a smaller organization, and people will go to you for help because they don't have, you know, thousands of people to go to. They might have 20, 50 people, and they're looking at you to create a new idea. Now, lastly, work perks. Now, I'm not talking about work pay, but work perks, benefits. When I went to this startup, I had free breakfast, free drinks at, a Sanka set, a 5 to 7 happy hour. You had a lot of activities, you had retreats, you had barbecues, sugar shacks, just everything that you could imagine you would want. It was available. I think there was even yoga, fitness classes. They really, because they can't always pay you the highest salary, they really tried to bring perks of what they can do for the whole organization. So that was a lot of fun. Again, if you like that type of culture, you can really create a nice culture in a startup because you are so close. There's not a lot of people, and you almost know the whole office that you're working with. Whereas an established company, you don't know everyone that you're working with. So those would be my pros and cons. I am going to put up some questions here at the end that I want you to ask yourself when you are looking to work at an established company or a startup. So here we go. Here's the questions. What is more important, experience or pay? Do you get bored often doing the same thing? And if you do get bored often doing the same thing, you probably shouldn't go to an established company because that is your main role. Is brand important to you when working for an organization? And what skills do you want to develop? So think about those. If you want to develop multiple skills, again, head over to a startup. You will learn the fastest at a startup, those skills. And again, if brand is really important to you and you want it a little easier in sales, go to an established company, because a startup, you're going to have to work very, very hard to do those sales. But again, working hard always equals better character, faster learning experience, and working on those skills that we talked about. So I'm curious, what do you think? Would you prefer going to a startup or an established organization? There's pros and cons to both. I would love to hear from you. And again, if you like this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you later on next Monday. Take care.